Hi guys, this is Ria from Let's OTT, and I'd like to welcome with me today the immensely talented Purab Kohli. He needs no introduction, but maybe over the course of this chat, we'll be talking more about his work. Hi Purab, welcome to Let's OTT.
Thank you, Ria. Nice to talk to someone in Malaysia. I've never done an interview in Malaysia before.
Yeah, I mean, we are a Malaysian-based website. Actually, I'm based in Calcutta right now,
Oh, right.
so it's like
Not far from Malaysia.
not far from Malaysia, like right there.
All my friends from
Thank you so
Calcutta,
much for joining us.
all my
And
friends from Kolkata keep making jokes that it's easier to get to Thailand and Malaysia than to get to Mumbai from Calcutta.
That is true. That is true. It's also the distance between Mumbai and Calcutta by flight is more than the distance between my house here and the airport here. So it takes me. But jokes apart, congratulations for the release of London Confidential, the Chinese
Thank you very much.
Conspiracy
Thank
on
you.
Z5. It's been getting really great reviews. And let's start with how you managed to bag this project.
Z contacted me a few months before we shot it, and I kind of was fine. I found it hard to say yes to because I was wondering how they're going to do it in lockdown time.
Right.
So I actually said no to the project at the beginning. And then in June, when things opened up in London, they said, "We've rewritten the script and based it in London. You're in London.
Hmm.
Please do reconsider." So I read
Hmm.
it again, and I was interested to work with the director because I knew
Hmm.
who the director was and I'd seen his work before.
Right.
So that's finally how I said yes to it and went on to do the film.
In a small way, that could mean that they really, really wanted you in the film. So they actually changed the entire script so that you could.
I would like to believe that.
Yeah.
But I think they
Um,
were, but honestly, I think it was more. It was the first city to open up shooting, so it just.
Fair enough.
But you and I can believe that, Nerea.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that.
पूरा बोलने के लिए D5 ने पूरा लोकेशन बदल
पूरा
दिया.
का पूरा लोकेशन चेंज कर दिया, पूरा स्क्रिप्ट चेंज हो गया. बहुत मजेदार. I don't know how many people know, but you were also down with the coronavirus
Yeah, I was
just
not well.
before
My
the
family and
shooting
we were
started.
unwell for about 2 or 3 weeks at the beginning of April, end of March, beginning of April.
Right. I hope you're doing much better now. Of course, you made an entire movie after that, so let's hope that
Yeah,
you're
I'm
doing much
absolutely
better now.
fine. Absolutely fine. It was hard. Those 3 weeks were quite hard, and we isolated and we did all the stuff that we could do. At that point of time, there was very little information about it, and because we were not, our symptoms were mild to medium. We were not allowed to go into the hospital, so we had to be at
Okay.
home. So it was a bit scary, some of it.
Hmm.
Uh, but once we got okay, I mean, kind of this sense of feeling invincible. Actually, honestly, you just feel like, wow, you survived that. You can survive many things, I guess.
Well, the silver lining here, if any, is that you have the unique disposition of being one of the few actors who was struck by a pandemic and then made a movie about a pandemic. So I think that's kind of amazing.
Well,
I'd love to.
yeah, I mean, but I don't think London Confidential is really about the pandemic. It is
Right.
more about finding a mole in the system. So it's a whodunit spy film, is what I'd like to think of it as. But of course,
Yeah.
the backdrop is not this virus, but a future sort of possible virus that can take over the world. But of
Yeah.
course, stemming from the emotion that is, I mean, capitalizing on the emotion that is felt through the current situation in the world. Yes.
Right. This is also the first time you're kind of in this space. I mean, an espionage thriller, but that also has like a slightly diplomatic, political angle to it. Is this the kind of like dramatic role that you were, waiting for? Because you've done a lot of lovely, light-hearted cinema as well, and you've done a lot of serious dramas, but nothing in this space.
Honestly, Ria, this is a question I get asked quite often. Like, what's the
Hmm.
role you're waiting for? Is this the role you're waiting for? And what is your dream role? I've been around for so long. I mean, I've lost sight of that answer, because
Fair
honestly,
enough.
you're an actor and you just want to do
Hmm.
stuff that is. What I can say is that I just try to look for things that are different. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I've done enough roles now in my life that have sort of encapsulated everything that I wanted to do, in some
Right.
way or the other.
Right.
But I think with every part that you read and give, sorry, coming back also, one, I've encapsulated every part that I might have wanted to do in one way or the other. And also what I want to do keeps changing all the time from what I've done
Hmm.
already. So it's all
Right.
linked in some way or the other. And so right now, when I look at scripts, I just sort of try and first be a part of a film that excites me, something that I would like to watch, and then I would like to do a part that challenges me and makes me feel emotion that possibly I've not felt before, and try and understand it and come to terms with it and then portray it. So for me, being an actor, I think that's always been my journey.
Right. Just taking that forward, I mean, this is not as much as a question as much as it's just an observation. Is that you've been somebody who's been so comfortable just doing performance-based roles, even if they are supporting roles or smaller roles, like an airlift, which is like it's a very small role, but it's really effective. I mean, you remember it when the movie ends. And even in this movie, I mean, in London Confidential, of course, you're part of the main cast. But Kulraj and Moni have very significant roles as well, and I absolutely love that because it's very rare that we get to see women playing such a strong character in this genre. And you're kind of course, you're there as the main lead, but you're also supporting their characters. So I'd love to know from you what was the experience, of course, working with these two actresses, but how do you view the trajectory of women roles in the genre?
Well, as I said, the first thing for me is always the film. So if
Yeah.
it's a film I would want to watch and it's a film I want to be in, is the first thing that always start. It starts any journey of me wanting to be a part of a project starts from there. Um, uh, the part, I mean, of course, yes, you want. I do ask the question, who's playing the part if it's not the lead part? It's because you want to know that who are you supporting in terms of in cast, and who you're trying to prop up over there. And then
Yeah.
you are clear about I'm always very clear about that. So when I get into a film, for me it's not a competition with other actors. It's more, okay, we are all working towards making a story be told well, and that's what it's always been for me. And I hope my co-actors feel that also when they act with me, because for me acting is not acting really. It's more like reacting to what people are doing, what I'm doing. Someone reacts to me and then I react with that. And so that's really what the game we're playing with each other as actors on the stage or in front of the camera. um, so having said that, it didn't matter if there were men or women. For me, it's all equal. Yes, but in the order of the day right now, there are sort of very strong women oriented stories being told, and especially on the web platform. There are numerous number of scripts and stories that come to me where the lead parts are women. Uh, I mean, that is the order of the day also, and you have to sort of pick from what comes to you, you know. But yeah, of course, I mean, as an actor, you are a little selfish and you want always to be the center of stories also being told. But you can't. At least for me, I don't know. I don't get that all the time. In my entire career, there are a handful that has come to me, where I am the central character, and from that handful, I've selected even fewer. Because some I've said
Yeah.
no to because I
Right.
don't like the film or I didn't like the role or whatever. Uh, so I can actually point out about literally 4 or 5 projects that I've done in my entire 22-year career where I'm the center of the project, so or the film or the series or the or the show. So I mean, one just takes first of all what is offered to you, and you do your best, and you play the part that has been offered to you well.
As you very rightfully mentioned in the
Well,
beginning.
well or not well, actually, people decide that, but you do your best, is what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. As you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, this was one of the first few films which was shot once the lockdown restrictions were slightly lowered and London opened up. And of course, you've been working for such a long time. कभी सोचा था that इस situation में भी काम करना पड़ेगा? What was the difference
बिल्कुल नहीं,
in the
बिल्कुल
shooting
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं,
situation?
बिल्कुल नहीं। मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ कि जब ये वायरस के मतलब प्रॉब्लम शुरू हो गए एंड पीपल स्टार्ट गेटिंग सिक एंड वी स्टार्टेड
Yeah.
ट्रैकिंग इट। चाइना में हो रहा था पहले, फिर चाइना के बाहर भी आ गया। And I
Hmm.
was in Calcutta actually. I was in Kolkata in February, and I flew from Kolkata back to London. I was
Right.
shooting. I've done a small guest appearance in Bob Biswas for Sujoy, and
Okay.
I mean, so because Dia is directing it, his daughter, but Sujoy is producing it, and I flew from Kolkata back directly to London,
Hmm.
and as soon as I landed here, lockdown almost. I mean, not soon as I came back mid-February, and by early mid-March, the talk started coming of all the cases being spread, and
Yeah.
London suddenly shut down. And I remember when they announced the closure, like basically London is going to lock down. I went to the supermarket and I saw everybody panicking in the supermarket, shelves empty, sab dare dare ho, chehre mere aaju baaju. And I came back home and told my wife that, you know what, I don't care if we get sick. I can't live my life like this in fear. I'm not that person. And then
Mm.
2 days later, we got sick. So uh, I'm telling you this because that's who I am as a person. I hate being restricted. I hate being told ki ye karna hai, wo karna hai, ye karna hai, wo karna hai. Of course, some
Yeah.
things you have to do and you have to follow laws and all. I understand that, but I think if I'm living in the laws of the suddenly these new things of face mask, and it was too much for me. So going into a set and also having to do it there, I found it very hard.
Yeah.
I have to say, I
Yeah.
found it very, very hard. It had to be done. I mean, people had to be kept safe, and you want to keep a safe environment, and also you don't know has some vulnerable person at home, and you have to safeguard all of that. But honestly, I mean, it was very hard. It was very
Mm.
hard seeing, सिर्फ इतना लोगों का चेहरा देखना, not being able to touch, feel people, or go and give someone a hug, even people
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a I mean, it's a hard it was a hard time. And working in those conditions, it's
Mm.
slower,
Mm.
can't be pacey, you have to like hold back one team at a time on the set.
Mm.
um, Everybody being a little sort of standoffish with each other.
Mm.
Mask, literally, our DOP of London Confidential, Ian, um, he used to always be in the mask. And one day we were shooting out in the open, and he was not wearing. I didn't even know he was on the set. I had no idea. I said, "Aaj ye nahi aaya." DOP is missing. Because his AC, his assistant cameraman was there. He was shooting. I'd seen his
Mm.
face before, so he was shooting us, and he was walking around. It was it was a car. The car was rigged on something, so me and Moni were in the car only the whole day.
Yeah.
Extremely hot day.
Mm.
Everybody else was sitting around, coming, setting things here and there. And I was like, "Where is he? And I can't see him only anywhere. I don't know where he is." And then suddenly I heard his voice, and I realized that this is him. This is Ewan. So I was like, "Arey wah." This is the thing of lockdown, that you can't even see the person's face, that you don't know what they look like behind that mask.
Yeah. It sounds like a unique experience because, for people like us, film production or TV production or production in general of this kind, it's the only vocation, it's the only day job where you kind of go and you interact with so many teams of people together and you have to be constantly together on set. So it
Yeah.
just sounds very strange when I talk to actors who've been shooting in the recent past and they're always like, "Arey, bahut kam log the, ya log dikhai nahi de rahe the," and everybody's wearing masks. And I was like, it sounds difficult, but it also it shows the resilient spirit of the industry because at the end of the day, काम तो करना है जा करके. So
It's a
I think
freelancing world, It's a freelancing
yeah,
world. I think if you ask me, on a set, 80% of the crew is freelancing,
yeah, yeah,
or maybe more. Very small number works for the producer in his office. Very, very
mm,
small number.
yeah,
Everybody else is a freelancer, so they work
mm,
on project to project. If they
yeah,
don't work, there won't be food on their plate. There won't
yeah,
be, there won't be parties, outings, EMIs.
yeah,
So it's a freelancing world. It's a good freelancing world. Like, you get to work, you enjoy yourself, and there's a lot of work.
yeah,
Like I said, the web distribution platforms are the angels right now,
mm,
commissioning all the work, because cinemas have closed down.
yeah,
So
completely.
there is a lot of work, but they know the only way to go out and get it is go out and get it. Put all your fears behind you, wear your masks, wear your shields, wear your visors. Those are the most ridiculous things, those visors. And especially makeup artists, they are trying to do makeup with the visor on, and the makeup light is reflecting on the visor, so they don't know what
Yeah.
makeup they're doing.
I was wearing a visor recently on a flight when I was flying from Bombay to Calcutta, and I have an anxiety problem when I fly, and it just kept getting like
Fog.
as if just a windshield पे हो जाता है, windscreen पे होता है,
Uh,
and it was all blurry, and I had to keep wiping it like this. It was really stupid because I was
the
breathing so.
latest fashion is going to be visor wipers.
They're very practical. They're very practical. Very rightfully said that the web space is still creating jobs for people. It's still creating opportunity for people. You are one of the first few Indian actors to kind of even transcend from traditional modes of entertainment to OTT. When it started out, you did Sense8 on Netflix before Netflix even came to India. You were a recurring character on that show. And of course, you've done so many web series already in India. You did a film last year as well. You're doing a film this year as well. What is your general opinion as not just a person who's part of the industry, but also somebody I'm assuming who consumes entertainment on a regular basis? What is your general opinion on how OTT has grown in India and abroad?
Well, it's definitely it's new media, new
Hmm.
media, new exhibiting platforms, um, and what one imagined at one time to be in. That's why it's called OTT, over the top. So it's
Over
like
the
over
top.
the what you already get. It's over the
Yeah,
top. But quite
right.
honestly, that needs to be renamed now because it is the top. It's not over the top anymore.
So
And
true.
you're seeing big Bollywood blockbusters being released directly on these platforms now. They're
Yeah,
paying for them. They're paying as much money as a theater distributor or a theater exhibitor would be able to pay them.
right.
So they are the big boys now. They are the top. They are shelling out that money. I mean, it is the future of the business. Whether it will wipe out cinemas completely, well, definitely, I think cinemas will reduce, but I don't know if it will wipe out completely.
A couple of years ago, you shifted base from Bombay to Goa, and then later on, you moved from Goa to London. For an actor who predominantly has worked in Indian films and Indian TV and Indian web shows now, that's a very kind of unconventional move to make. But I was reading an interview of yours where you said it was to get more international exposure. And I'd love to know from you if has that been a gamble for you at all, if that even exists, and if it has been a gamble, has it paid off, or are you still working towards that
I guess I'm unconventional. I'm
thing?
unusual, because things I've always noticed things that I like and I like to do are very different from what other people like to and end up doing. And I'm not governed with insecurities. In fact, if I feel insecure about something, I go and hit it head on. I go and do it
Hmm.
first. Nikal
Hmm.
do insecurity. That's what I believe in.
Hmm.
So my move to Goa was a different reason. I grew up in Mumbai, and I started feeling by 2010 Mumbai was getting very crowded. And
Okay.
lots of people were moving in, and I grew up in a beautiful suburb that now has become the center of Mumbai, which is Bandra. I grew up in Bandra, and
Right.
Bandra used to be Bandra used to be a suburb that if you didn't have money to live in South Bombay, you came to live in Bandra. That's what
Yeah.
Bandra used to be. It was
Yeah.
like Goa in many ways, little lanes
Hmm.
and you know
Hmm.
so in 2010, I came back from having spent a lot of time shooting Jal, and right after
Hmm.
Jal, which was in Kutch, and that was beautiful being in the desert for that much time.
Yeah.
And almost 2 months I was in the desert between Kutch and Rajasthan. And
Hmm.
then I came back, and immediately I went on to do a travel show for National Geographic, where I traveled and did about 2.5, 3 months. I was traveling, doing an adventure travel show for them.
Right.
And I came back to Mumbai, and I just thought that Mumbai has just become so crowded, and Bandra has become so crowded. Bandra was a walking suburb, and now you can't even like walk without being almost run over by an auto rickshaw. So I just felt like it needed less people. So because I'm a
Okay.
freelancer and I don't need to be in a 9 to 5 job, I felt that would be my service to the city. I love Mumbai. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's still one of my favorite cities in the world. I love it, and I love it for its history. It's a young city. It's buzzing. The
Yeah.
buzz in Mumbai you don't get anywhere, not even in London.
That's
It's
true.
a buzz
Yeah.
to that no one other city in the world has. So I felt like as someone to do service to my own city, I should leave because I don't need to be there all the time. So I left and I moved to Goa, and I made Goa my base. And I would come to Mumbai whenever I was needed. I would take a flight, 45 minutes to finish a project. I have a house in Mumbai, so that's not a problem. And I would fly back. So it was literally that. I really felt like Mumbai needs less people, and I can afford to live outside. So I live outside and come to Mumbai when
Right.
I'm. So that was my service I felt to the city, and that's why I moved to Goa. Having been in Goa for a few years, and then also starting working on web distribution, and generally as a person, my interests in the kind of entertainment that I like to watch has been skewed towards Western entertainment.
Okay.
So I felt like even as an actor, then I should be lending myself more in a world that I like to watch, and cinema that I like to watch, and films that I like to watch. So, and I really enjoyed the process of Sense8. and working with the directors that I'd worked with on that show was fantastic. And I thought it was a good opportunity for me to sort of get a leg towards the West a little bit. Also, meeting my wife, marrying her, having children, we had to start thinking about where we want to base ourselves, because she didn't like being in Goa so much, because she said, if you're going to be leaving and traveling and working all the time, then I might as well be based in London. She's a Londoner. She grew up here and she lived here all her life. So like I rather live in Bombay, which I didn't want to live in, or live in London. So then we said, okay, let's base ourselves in London. So yeah, it's proving to be fruitful. I've just shot a film which is for Hollywood in last month, so that will come out at the end of next year. I can't really talk about it right now, but that's happened. I've got myself a good agent here who's doing some auditions for people, seeing if some work comes from here in the next couple of years. Let's see. We'll know if it's the right one or the wrong one. Otherwise, I'll be back. Or maybe I'll move to Malaysia. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows? The world is your oyster, I think, after the pandemic. I really feel that.
And I mean, I'm all for trying something new all the time. If I've done something once and I don't feel like doing it again all the time, and I'll do it for some time, and then I'll just feel like, okay, now life needs a bit of a change. Let's try
Right.
something. Reinvent yourself. That's what I believe in. Reinventing myself all the time.
Speaking of reinvention, and I'm wrapping up now. But speaking of reinvention, I'd just like to say, when I was 8 years old, I used to finish my homework really quickly so that I could watch Mazhar and the rest of the gang and Vinny Sir on Hippe Pure on ZTV. This is a fact. I'm a big Hippe Pure stan. Like I watch reruns on YouTube, guys. There are reruns
Wow.
on YouTube. Go and
Wow.
watch. It's an amazing show. It was my coming of age. It was what I envisioned my school life to look like. And then 10 years later, I was at a concert for Rock On in Saket when I was I had just joined college. It was my first year of college. And Purab and Farhan and everybody was on stage and they were performing with the actual singers
Gosh,
from the movie, of course.
gosh, I hope you were well
And
behaved, because those concerts are some of those concerts we behaved very badly in. We were really rock stars.
one of my best friends in the world actually jumped on Arjun Rampal. She jumped on him and Arjun threw her back into the stand. It was hilarious and amazing. And how cool is it that after 22 years, after watching Hippe Pure on ZTV, I get to talk to Purab Kohli for a movie on Z5. So I'd just like to say that life has gone full circle for me. I think I'm
Wow.
ready to
Thank you.
retire.
Yeah, that makes me feel so special. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but no, thank you. I'm a big fan, and thank you for joining us today. Guys, please go and watch London Confidential: The Chinese Conspiracy on Z5. It is streaming as we speak. And please like, share, and subscribe to the content of Let's OTT. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And this is me, Ria, signing off and saying bye to Purav. And hopefully, we get to chat again.
I hope so too, Ria. And hope
Great.
also next time we chat, you have your visor and your visor wiper on.
I'm feeling really bad that I didn't do that already because it would have been such a great gimmick. Lost opportunity. Next time we're doing it for sure. Okay,
Ciao,
bye
guys.
guys. Thanks.
Bye.